Hello, this is Sandy Nadelson, and I'm here to talk to you about the community assessment I did with class this week. Shirley asked me to put something together about what we did. Some of the outcomes that I had set up before class started, at least in my own mind, was that the students would have a basic understanding of community assessment. They'd be able to distinguish between an in-depth assessment and a more surface assessment. Students could describe how each might use an assessment form in real life, and then have some rudimentary knowledge of the tools available on the CDC website. I have been there at least once, and I think we met all of those objectives. Background, I've done this assessment with students before. Usually it's preferred not to do the very first day and have the students have the chance to look at the tools beforehand, but sometimes the perfect world doesn't exist, and so you deal with it. So the students hadn't looked at the forms, and they didn't really have an idea of assessment, but they were willing to go with it, and so I appreciated that. It did take a little extra time to talk about the assessment tools because they hadn't seen them, but I think it was well spent. So during the class, what we started off by giving students pieces of white paper and then some crayons and asking them, when you hear the word community, what do you think of? And then draw those. You could draw pictures or words or whatever they wish to do. And then I've got in here a couple of pictures of what students did. This is one of them. Pretty common. This one's a little more colorful and more full than the other ones, but there's usually people and some sort of structure. Then a lot of times there's a sun, at least in the Vegas ones. When I do it up here in Boise, there's not so much sun. And I talk to the students and have them talk. Oh, here's another one. This person chose to use words. She didn't want to do the drawing, and that's absolutely fine. So she kind of put together a concept map of what she thinks of when she hears the word community. After the students are drawing, I ask them to volunteer to talk about their picture and what they included. And then part of this discussion, talk about what were some of the similarities and differences. Because what I like to do is stress that everyone has a different idea of what a community is or is not. It's really important with working with people on a project that everyone have the same definition. So if someone's talking about, oh, we're going to do a community assessment, and they're talking about maybe 5 blocks right around wherever they are, it's going to be really different than someone who's thinking community, oh, Henderson, or someone, oh, yeah, Nevada. So making sure that everyone has a good definition that they can operationalize, I think it's really helpful. So we talked about introduction to the class about what is the nursing process in terms of assessment. Of course, we start nursing process out with assessment. We're going to start community out with assessment because community is our patient when I'm talking about community health. And so we talk about why you might want to do an assessment. Obviously a basic reason is for class, but there might be some sort of community action that you want to do, and I give that students kind of a what if. What if someone gave you $10,000 and said, do something to change the neighborhood? What would you do? And in particular using the information that we collect. And it's interesting, some students can really go with it. Sometimes they have a little hard time with it, but it's definitely fun. Get some creativity and some thought going. I also talk about, you might want to do an assessment before you start writing a grant or before you start doing some research in order to see if you're heading in the right direction. We also talked about assessment in terms of different levels, just like with patients. Sometimes you do a quick assessment, sometimes you don't. And the windshield one, which we did on Monday, was definitely a quick assessment. It doesn't go into a lot of details. I use the one that's in the book because it's in the book and people have access to it. So here you can see the different areas: housing and zoning is number 1, open spaces 2, boundaries 3, commons 4, transportation 5, service centers 6, 7 stores, street people, signs of decay, race, ethnicity, religion, health and morbidity, politics, and finally media. And there's questions that under each one. So I had the students sitting in tables together, and I broke those up into groups, and I said, okay, your table 1, I want you to do the first 3 of that list. I don't like to assign it to specific people. I'd rather assign it to a group because then they can have discussion about it. Then too, if one or two of the people are shy about talking in public, they can put that off to someone else. And so I gave them over lunchtime to go and collect that data and be ready to come back and present what they found. After the assessment, I asked the different groups to give a report of what they found, and they did a nice thorough job. I did ask the other students about their input. Did they see anything differently or find anything else? And that's always an interesting discussion. You know, depending on where you go, you see different things. We also discussed then about some other forms, and the CDC has some excellent forms for change. I put the website here that you can go and you can download them. Unfortunately, on Monday, the web system was down, so we weren't able to look at them. But I didn't end it there. I asked the students to, after class, to go and take a look at the CDC website and also then compare one of the tools that's on the website with the windshield tool that we used that day and see what are the differences and how those could be used most effectively. And that's what we did. I hope you learned something or enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know. You can get a hold of me at sandynadelson@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye now.